It is the end of watch for LeFlore County Deputy Thomas Walker LeMay.
Yeah, he was killed here over the weekend after responding to a welfare check that turned into a standoff. The LeFlore County Sheriff calling this an ambush of his law enforcement officers. The suspect, 36-year-old Edgar Lara, has been arrested, but still charges are pending. Investigators say Lara barricaded himself in a property where that shooting happened off of Highway 270. He then fired shots at those responding officers, and a standoff happened for hours.
Everyone pulled together, the whole community did. Agencies come from all over, local, federal, state.
Now, while the community awaits for official charges to come down, they're showing up to support Deputy LeMay's family and friends.
5 News reporter Claire Everbach is live in Poto this morning with the latest. Good morning, Claire.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Tiffany. Well, in the past 48 hours, one thing is very clear, and that's how loved Deputy LeMay was in this community. The LeFlore County Sheriff's Office has placed his vehicle right here at the courthouse on the front lawn, and as you can see, it's all decorated with flags and flowers. People have also written messages, cards, and notes thanking him for his service and his sacrifice. On Monday afternoon, a procession rolled through downtown Poto with multiple agencies escorting the fallen deputy as his body returned home. Deputy Thomas Walker LeMay was a name people here didn't just know, but relied on. They say he took care of everyone around him. LeFlore County Sheriff Rodney Derryberry says Deputy LeMay was a dedicated law enforcement officer, a proud father, a loyal deputy, and a trusted friend to many, and he represented the very best of public safety. He says in the hours since, support has poured in from local agencies to people across the country, standing behind his department and Deputy LeMay's family.
He's a great man. He was taken from us too soon. He stood up for what was right. His courage, commitment, and selflessness, service will never be forgotten.
Will never be forgotten is exactly correct. We did get a chance to look at what of some of these messages say, and they expressed profound gratitude for his dedication to this community, and he'll never be forgotten here in LeFlore County. Live in LeFlore County, covering news where you live, Claire Everbach, 5 News.
All right, thanks for that, Claire. Well, another officer injured in that shooting, Worcester Police Chief Andy Thompson.
Yeah, we've not heard the state of his condition yet, but we heard that he is expected to come back to Worcester soon to recover.
Meanwhile, the support is pouring in from lawmakers and other state agencies. A trio of state reps issuing a statement and also held a moment of silence Monday at the Oklahoma State Capitol, saying in part that we know especially that these families are hurting, as is the law enforcement community. Oklahoma Highway Patrol issued a statement saying in part that Deputy LeMay was a dedicated public servant who responded to the calls few are willing to face. And a federal judge has blocked the most recent Arkansas law requiring social media companies to limit teens and kids from their platforms. The judge ruled that Act 900, or the Social Media Safety Act as it's called, passed last year, which violates, he says, the Constitution. The judge also saying that social media companies need to do a better job of limiting what kids do and say on their platforms. But the judge also said the law is too vague and restricts free speech. Meanwhile, the Attorney General, Tim Griffin, has already appealed for a similar ruling. Tensions rising between the U.S. and Iran as the ceasefire nears its end.
Overnight, Iran's parliament speaker said that it will not negotiate under threats after a new escalation at sea. That comes after the U.S. seized an Iranian cargo ship in the Strait of Hormuz, accusing it of trying to break the blockade. President Trump says the blockade will remain in place until a deal is reached, as a ceasefire deadline approaches Wednesday, warning Iran could face problems if there's no agreement.
Now we have to get it done. They're going to see problems like they've never seen before.
The president's comments are also drawing a response from top Democrats who say the ongoing conflict is already impacting the U.S. economy.
A big part of the problem right now, particularly as it relates to skyrocketing gas prices, is Donald Trump's reckless and costly war of choice.
Over the weekend, the Energy Secretary predicted that gas prices, now hovering over $4 a gallon, will not fall below $3 until next year. Another round of peace talks between Israel and Lebanon will take place in Washington later this week.
A shooting at one of Mexico's most famous cultural sites left one tourist dead, several others injured after a gunman opened fire while visitors were on the site. Bradley Blackburn has more.
Crews carried victims down the steps of Mexico's Teotihuacan pyramids as a site famous for its ancient archaeology was filled with ambulances. A Canadian woman was killed and 4 other people were wounded when a 27-year-old gunman opened fire on tourists just before noon Monday. Witnesses reported hearing dozens of gunshots, and some visitors climbing the steep steps were injured by falling when they tried to take cover. Officials said they do not know the motive for the shooting, but that it appeared to be a targeted attack. They said the gunman died from a self-inflicted wound. The site was quickly swarmed with first responders and agents. In a post on social media, Mexico's president wrote, "What happened today in Teotihuacan deeply pains us," and said she's ordered federal officials to investigate. Earlier this year, violence erupted across Mexico after special forces killed a cartel leader. Some travelers were stranded trying to get home. The U.S. State Department has a Level 2 travel advisory in place across Mexico, warning U.S. citizens to exercise increased caution due to terrorism, crime, and kidnapping. The Teotihuacan pyramids were built by 3 ancient civilizations and are a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The complex sits about an hour outside Mexico City and drew nearly 2 million international visitors last year. This guide was on site during Monday's shooting and worried about the impact on tourism. "We hope that people worldwide understand the situation," she said. "This is not something that happens all the time."